Well, hello there. How you doing today? This would probably be not the best viewpoint if you were that close to it. Ah. Anyways, how you doing, everyone? I'm Mike, your low-key BB Warzer, and today what I want to talk to you guys about is my big, heavy pride and joy, my oversized paperweight, but it's just so cool. I love this thing, my VFC M3 MAAWS. And specifically, is this thing worth it? Is it worth carrying out in the field? Is it worth doing your long form milsim west, your gun gamers, your whatever kind of airsofty milsim experience you're doing? Is it worth carrying this around? Is it effective? Or can we kind of use just a 40 mic and be the same thing? We're going to talk about that a little bit. As well as my overall impressions of the build quality, how this thing works and everything, and the modifications that I've done to this one right here to make it effectively shoot tag rounds. Because the way it comes stock, the way it, with that big ball you fill of BBs, not that great. It shoots about 20 yards, it explodes, it doesn't really do anything. It's not even like a shotgun blast. It's just a big plastic ball you put BBs into and it kind of throws it. Even if you tape it up, it's not that great. So getting this thing to be able to shoot the TAGINN rounds is your best bet, absolutely. But I will go over how I managed to modify a couple 3D printed parts, a couple shimming, a little bit of modification. Took a little bit to get it running, but I got this thing shooting pretty reliable. So I'm going to go over that. But anyways, thanks for joining us and everything like that. And let's get talking about the big tube. All right, the M3 MAAWS. Basically, its real-life counterpart is a 84mm recoilless rifle, is what they call it. Basically, it's a rocket launcher that doesn't create a lot of recoil to it. It has a giant backblast that comes out the end of it, so they call it a recoilless rifle, recoilless launcher. But this is based off the American version of it, which is designated the M3 MAAWS, which is the multi-role anti-armor, anti-personnel weapon system. That's what MAAWS stands for and everything. VFC decided to make it off of the M3. The M3A1 is the most modern version of it. A lot of photos you see of Rangers, SF, the Marine Raiders using it a lot. It's much more prolific now than it was in the past because of the military decided that hey, this is a great weapon system. It's it's reusable. It's not like an AT4 or a M72 that is only good for single shot. So a lot of companies or a lot of military is starting to use these now. But VFC decided with us that they are going to make a fantastic replica of it, which is kind of nice because a lot of you guys that are my age have been playing this for a long time, or old school guys remember. No one used to make launchers, or maybe like Deep Fire made one and it was like $1,000 and it shot a Nerf football. So it wasn't that great. So a lot of people weren't spending a lot of money on these launchers to launch a Nerf football. Like we had in those days, we had to build them ourselves out of PVC pipes and rubber couplings and the old Madball shells. If any old school guys are watching, remember the old Madball shells that shot a paintball? You could put a Nerf football down here and wreck that, let that go, and that was our launchers back in the day. This is before TAGINN. So TAGINN came out and it kind of changed the whole name of the game. Being able to launch an exploding projectile or a chalk round and have it actually effectively range and hit things and either blow up or mark something like a vehicle was a game changer. And I believe that's what made all these companies start making launchers. Because nowadays, you can get launchers, you can get RPG-7s, there's AT-4s out there, I've seen bazookas, the M3, the Carl Gustav, there's mortars now, there's all these things now, which is awesome. I love it. I love blowing stuff up, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys love that too. But it's great that these companies just start making these now. This one, from what I have seen, the VFC and everything, this is one of the best built ones. Absolutely one of the best built ones. I am very impressed with the quality of how this thing actually came out. Really, I really am. It's all that good nylon fiber. Like, it's not like that cheap chintzy plastic or anything that creaks and cracks or you just feel like you're going to break it. I will say, we carried this all through our last milsim west we did, Black Sea Storm. I've carried this for multiple 12-hour games, 12-hour format games and everything. Carried it with myself the whole time and kind of beat the crap out of it. Like we've beat this thing, up, and it's fine. Like, there's no stress cracking, there's nothing that doesn't work or that's really loose now. It's taken all the abuse that we have, from slinging it to throwing it. Like, hey, I don't have a good shot, throw it to a teammate or something like that. So it's taken all of its abuse. So I will say the actual build quality of the VFC is very, very nice. Even parts that are aware, you know, that used a lot. The breech mechanism and everything. This is nylon fiber and then aluminum on the inside that has aluminum inserts. So that way, like where the stop block is and then the where this attaches is actually all aluminum. So it's not gonna it's not gonna wear out the threads or it's not gonna crack. So again, very impressed with the quality of it. Like, because I will say, if you own this or you decide to make a random impulse buy, which is how I got this. I got back from the latest deployment and went, I have deployment money, and I walked into an airsoft shop and they had this, and I went, you're coming home with me. So that's how I got it. But if you show up to the field with this, everyone will love you, and everyone is going to say, hey, can I take a photo with it? And they come up and they go, oh, cool, look at the breech! And they do that 50 times. So having this being very strong is a very good plus. Thank you, VFC, for doing that, because everyone just loves to play with the breech. It is pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. Everything from the sling points right here are reinforced, so that way you don't need to. You're not going to worry about these breaking off or anything. The inside of it is actually sleeved. I don't know if you can tell through the camera, but it's sleeved with aluminum. Down the inner barrel on it is actually sleeved with aluminum, and that goes from about here to here. And then the shell itself is pretty cool. That it is a full 84mm cartridge, so it's the same size as the true HEDPs, or it's modeled after the HE rounds. They have a little cap that can go onto it, but I just leave that off because you'd have to take it off every time. Your TAGINN shells go inside of this to launch the rounds out of it. So it's you can have multiples of these, that way you can kind of like rapid fire. I will say the shells are a little hard to source though. It comes with one, but I haven't seen any distributors in the US having the shells. I ordered mine from Red Wolf. I waited probably about a month and a half and it finally came in. So be advised, getting the shells or replacement or additional shells is a little bit of a pain. Other than that, that's it. It's a good piece of plastic. Oh, the sighting system that it comes with. It does come with this. It doesn't come with the laser or the red dot. But I will say personally for me, this thing altogether, this whole thing is like 3 pounds. I remove it. For when I actually go field it and I have to carry this thing the whole time, I found using the backups, the sights is just as good as trying to use the dot right here. You can actually calibrate it. This actually moves so you can adjust your angle right there. I haven't had the time to go out and just go with the non-explosive rounds and kind of like dope it. I just haven't done that, but I'm sure if someone put the time and effort into it, you could actually create a little dope chart right here and dial this in and actually have it very, very, oh, excuse me, very, very accurate, because we all know that TAGINN shells go farther than BBs. Okay, so you just pick this up, you got it, you're like, hey, it's a vibe, I want to run it. Don't care that it weighs a little more and it's kind of bulky. I want to freaking shoot it, but I need it to shoot tags, all right? So this does not come, as it comes stock, ready to fire tags. And the problem is your TAGINN shells, either your CO2 or your HPA shells, this, where you actuate it, this actuation distance and pressure you need is a lot more than most other airsoft grenades. Most other airsoft grenades require about a 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters to like fully pop and actuate to get it to fire, whereas the tag shells, from my measurements, would take about 3 millimeters. So, which means you need double the length of firing pin to fire the tag shells, and that's the problem with the MAAWS. How the MAAWS works is you have your trigger right here. Trigger goes down a rod into here, which basically turns 90 degrees via almost like a wedge, and a plunger. Wedge goes against it, pushes the plunger down, which goes into here, which hits this little button right here. Where'd my other piece go? Losing stuff. Which goes into this, and then there's a lever. There's a 90 degree inside of this. This is your end cap right here. That rotates and hits that. So it's a lot of like mechanical levers and stuff to get it to fire, and each time that one of those has a little bit of slop in it or doesn't exactly like mesh up really well, you lose a little distance. So stock, this thing was only pushing about 2 millimeters of movement out of this little end right here. That's where the firing pin is. It was only moving about 2 millimeters. So as hard as you were squeezing this trigger, it would not actuate a tag round. So there are a couple things that I did to this to make it be able to do that. Number one, if you watch the Explosive Enterprises video on the M3, they have a print file for this little wedge firing pin right here. Basically, it looks like a triangle that they do it right there. I'll throw a photo of it right here because we all love that, right? So that you need to have either print yourself or have someone print it. And in my opinion, print it out of some good material. You know, like, you know, trying to use it like PETG or any of your like basic materials, I have broken them all. So I would get your either a carbon or a nylon or something like that if someone has like a better printer or you order it. Get it printed out of better materials because they, for me, they always kept breaking. Ha! I had one. So that guy right there, that's what I had printed. So that's what goes inside of this right here. So that little right here, that the button on the side presses down on this. This end right here goes against your shell right here, and it pushes that pops the shell. So the stock one of these just doesn't have the throw. It doesn't push out far enough, and it doesn't have the throw distance to be able to actuate tags. So first thing I did, you get this printed, you install it. It worked half the time, but I was like, I had to really you're really squeezing the trigger hard, trying to get it to like flex as much as you can to be able to actuate that shells. And I would say I had a 50% failure rate, which to me is unsat. I mean, this needs to be 90% or better. Like I want it to be effective, all right? All my equipment, you want it to be effective. You know, I don't want to carry this thing and just have it look cool and not be able to shoot anything. You want to shoot people. It's airsoft. BB wars. In the shell, by the little dot that this, that the firing pin that comes 90 degrees in here, inside of this, there was an O-ring, a little O-ring that fit in the inside of it that kind of like dampened the impact force. I took that out. The way you do that is you have a 0.3 millimeter, or 0.03 I think, millimeter Allen head. You pull a little grommet screw out of this little back right here, which holds this in. You pull this little cap off, there's a spring underneath it, then underneath that there's an O-ring. It's only probably a 1/2 mil thick O-ring, but that 1/2 mil makes a big difference in your total travel length. So I took that O-ring out, put it all back together, and then now when this goes in and you go to fire, because there's two different positions, you have your safe and then your fire, the actuation distance between removing the O-ring, 3D printing that, gives me enough to be able to pop the shells pretty reliably. Now there's one other thing I also did to this that I saw in another video. I don't know if it helped, but it made the trigger feel better. If you remove this two pieces right here, as well as unthread this flathead right here, this little cap right here covers where it goes from basically horizontal and transfers it vertical. Inside of this, there was a lot of slop. This control rod, the rod that comes from the trigger down the middle of it, doesn't have like any shimming in it. So basically that free floats inside of it, and when you squeeze the trigger, that flexes inside of here. I could see it flexing and kind of bending, and I thought, hey, that might be a little bit of movement lost. So all I did was remove this, and I used Teflon shim tape. Got it right off Amazon. Just type in Teflon shim tape, and I shimmed that so that way it was not tight but a little snug in there, so that way there was no deflection. There's no movement, there's nothing, there's no way it can like bend or deflect in any way. So by tightening that up, installing the 3D printed trigger or firing pin, firing triangle, whatever you want to call that, into the shell backing, as well as removing the O-ring from this, that got me to where this thing is about 90% time. And usually the only other times I have a problem with it, it's more of a shell issue where the shell is leaking or I didn't pop it and reprime it right, versus the actual firing mechanism of the M3. So that's how I did it. That's how I got it to fire tags. Again, this print file is on Thingiverse. If you go into Thingiverse and you literally type in VFC M3 MAAWS, It's one of the only things that pops up. It's by Explosive Enterprises. Those guys are great. Anything to do with gas blowbacks or launchers, they make a bunch of custom parts for it. So shout out to them. They are awesome. And also my other obsession of gas blowbacks. Watch his stuff. It's really good. He's way better at talking and pontificating than I am. So, okay. So, is it worth it when this guy can shoot the same round as this guy? Is it worth it? Yeah. This thing's awesome. I know I'm probably just stimming right now, but what happened to us at like Black Sea and everything, of when, you know, there's a enemy force coming in and they're really doing good. You're kind of getting it pushed in a little, and you're like, oh man, you know, like, oh, there's a group of them, and you kind of shoulder this and get ready to go. You'd be amazed at how many people will rally behind you and be like, all right, when the tag goes off, we're gonna bound, we're gonna do it. There's just something about coming out with this big old launcher, even though it makes the same sound, the same projectile as a regular 203 or one of the, you know, the standalone launchers. It's just something about the vibe that this brings to everyone. Everyone just seemed to love it. So for me, being a person who embraces the LARP as much as I can, this was absolutely worth bringing. There were times where I absolutely hated carrying it, and they're like, why are we bringing this paperweight? Why do I need it? But then it is all extinguished by just a couple good shots where, like, we had 2 guys on it as like an anti-tank team, and we just rapid fired a couple times. It made it all worth it. It really did. So if you're one of those guys that embraces the LARP, and in some of these milsim games, the rule set is that it has to be a launcher to take out a vehicle. You know, like, it actually has to be a shoulder launcher, not a 40 mic, even though you can't really tell. But if you're embracing the LARP of it, embracing the rule set, I would say this thing, once you do the modifications that I talked about to get it to fire tags reliable, this thing is so much fun. It really is. It's such a, lack of a better term, it's such a vibe. It really is. For, you know, we wear all this cool kit, we wear all this cool comms, we do all this stuff to make us look as legit as we can, whether or not you're a big impression guy like Rangers, Marsoc, like whatever. This just ups that game that a little bit more too, of being like, hey, I will physically put myself in a little bit of distress and carry heavy things purely to look cool, but at the same time, it brings my spirits up. It brought the spirits of the team up when we were finally able to get out and put a knee down, put some sights on. We were able to load around and have it land right in the middle of a rest formation, popped. Oh, it was great. So overall, I would 100% say, if you truly embrace the LARP, this is absolutely worth it, and I highly recommend that anyone that has any inkling of wanting to get it, save up your money, go ahead and get it, because it is so much fun. It's just so much fun. I love it. My guys love it. Its name is Carly Rae Jespin, because she'll call you maybe. Sorry, it is. But that's it. I would recommend it. Now, if you are going to run it and you want to do something like a dedicated anti-tank team, or have this be like a staple of your group and everything like that, I'm going to go over real quick what I carried with it. All right. One little mod I did with it, in addition to the tag rounds and everything, is I actually modded where this is meant for like mounting it on a weapons platform or a bipod or something like that. So it has a little pull thing right here. I actually took my CO2 launcher, drilled a little hole into it, because this is not structural right there, and I'm able to carry my shell refill right inside of it. Just a cool little mod I did. I just saw it one day and was like, hey, that fits in there perfect. So that's a little mod I did, so that way I can carry my CO2 refills with me. Now, I like to carry 2 shells because that's the only amount that I have, but I got this, which is pretty cool. This is a 84mm pack from First Spear. I actually found it on eBay. There were a couple of them, so if they're still there, if you want to run a dedicated team, I would highly advise it, because it holds the single round like that. So if I want to, I kept this one loaded so I could quick reload 2 rounds. We could fire 2 rounds in quick succession. And then in the other end of it, I kept this, which is an old ATS water bottle pouch, full of my TAGINN rounds, like the shell, the actual the launchable, the projectiles. I stacked it. You can carry 12 of these in here. So that fits perfectly in the top right there of that. So I have my shells up here. I have the quick launch shell on the bottom of it, like the full 84 millimeter. And then in here, I carried all my CO2 cartridges, as well as another spare shell, and then another spare CO2 refill went into here in one nice convenient package, because trying to carry both of these was a little bit of pain. So we would put this as you always had a loader designated who would carry this piece of equipment, and this ended up being about 7 pounds. And then you had the guy with the launcher with one shell primed in it, ready to go. All you needed to do was rotate safe to fire, already primed, ready to go. So he could immediately get on these, fire one round. By then, the loader's coming up with this, takes his round out, immediately could fire, so we could get 2 rounds off in quick succession before we had to start pulling the back end off and then pulling these off, regassing rounds and putting new shells in. Which we got it down to about, we could do that in about a minute. So it would be 2 shots, a minute, 2 shots. So it's not the fastest thing in the world, but if you're embracing the LARP, this is kind of a cool little setup that's makes your team a little unique. That you have a dedicated anti-armor, anti-vehicle, and anti-personnel, because if you use like the time delay cartridges or the impacts, I found that the time delay ones, they used to be called the Reapers, but the yellow TAGINNs are much better for this. The impacts, unless you're in like an urban and you're really shooting against walls, get the timed ones. It's way better because you can really arc them in. You can almost have them air burst. You could arc them in and use them as grenades, so they hit first, wait a second, then explode. So advise the yellow ones there. But that was my setup of how we ran it at Black Sea, and it worked very well. It was a vibe. Everybody loved it. Lots of photos were taken. We were all happy to run it, even though it was kind of heavy and a little bit of paperweight. It wasn't exactly the greatest game ever, but we had fun with it. Alright, once again, thank you for embracing me and my weaponized autism and how I just spend my money on all this LARPy stuff, but it's worth it to me, and I hope it's worth it to you. Thank you again for listening to me. I always appreciate it. Again, if I see you on the field and I have this, feel free, come on over. You can take your photo with it. You can open the breech and close the breech. It's okay. Everyone else does. But definitely come up, say hi. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.